Curse of the Kichai Shaman. Chapter 8. Taking back the power. David parked his truck at the police station and sat there a while and let his frayed nerves settle. Then he grabbed his GoPro camera off the jaw clamp and reviewed the video. The black car did not have a license plate on the front of it, but it did have some front-end damage on the driver's side front bumper. David was able to cue up the video to where you could see the person in black leaning out the window of the black Dodge Challenger and firing 2 rounds toward David while the car was swerving. It was about 5:30 p.m. and David made his way into the police station. He was trembling from the trauma of being almost killed. He went up to the duty officer at the window and asked if he could speak to Detective Moody. The duty officer pulled out a sheet of paper and looked at it and said that Detective Moody is on second shift and will be in at 6 p.m., and he asked if David wanted to wait. David said, "Yes, this is urgent." The duty officer said, "If it is urgent, you can talk to a detective right now." David said, "That would be nice. I just got shot at and have a video of it." The duty officer said, "Give me a minute." And he called someone on the phone. Within 2 minutes, a man came out. David saw the badge on his belt, and he was in dress pants and a white dress shirt. He said to David, "Are you the man who has video of being shot at?" David said, "Yes, it is on my GoPro. I am lead detective Hayes. Please come back with me." David went with him to an office just off the room where there were desks. One of these desks in this room was Detective Moody's. Detective Hayes sat down at his desk in his office and asked if he could see the video. David showed it to him. Detective Hayes got a serious look on his face after seeing part of the video that David had queued up to the shooting. He asked if they could download the video, and David said, "Yes." Detective Hayes got on the phone and called a technician and asked him to come to his office. Detective Hayes then got on his computer and told David to tell him everything. "Start at the beginning," Detective Hayes said. David told him that he was an archaeologist for United Environmental Solutions working with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation on Highway 281, preserving some Native American grave sites that would be destroyed in the construction that is going to widen Highway 281. He told him that a man named Richard Nergal, who is an ODOT archaeologist, has been putting ether on his truck's air conditioner intakes that made him feel like he was going to pass out while driving. And he was putting Rohypnol in his drinks. He said that he is sure that Richard spiked his drink with Rohypnol on 2 occasions, and one time he got pulled over by Officer Whitehorse and failed a field sobriety test and was arrested. The blood test he took was positive for Rohypnol. David told him he met some men in jail who told him how to counteract the ether put on his truck's air conditioner intakes by opening the doors and running the air conditioner while he was outside the truck for 5 minutes. He told him that Richard saw him purging the ether out of his truck and that he was locking up his food and being more careful. He said he thinks that Richard sent the black car to shoot him because everything else he tried had not been able to kill him. He said he is convinced that Richard Nergal was out to get him. David told him that he saw the black car sitting on the side of Highway 281 when he left work and headed to his hotel. He saw the black car pull onto the highway after he passed it in the rearview mirror, so he pointed his GoPro out the back window and started recording. The car pulled up next to him on Central Boulevard and shot out his window. David told him that he evaded the car and drove to the police station and that the car kept going after he pulled in. He said he looked at the video and saw that there was no front license plate, but that the car had damage on the driver's side front bumper. Detective Hayes typed everything David said in a report on his computer. He then asked, "Why would he want to kill you?" David thought about it a while. He did not want to sound crazy and talk about the curse, so he just said, "I don't know. There is something wrong with him." About that time, a technician came in and David gave him the GoPro camera. Detective Hayes asked the technician to have Officer Phelps meet them outside in the parking lot. He then told David that they needed to see his truck. They made their way outside and Officer Phelps showed up with a forensics toolkit in a case. Officer Phelps looked around the interior of David's truck and found where a bullet had hit the roof. He could see a hole at the top of the passenger door of the door frame above the window. "There is a bullet stuck in the door frame," Officer Phelps said. He got out a small plastic evidence bag and pulled the bullet out of the frame with some smooth-jawed pliers and placed it in the bag. He then wrote on the label the time and date with a marker. He asked Detective Hayes for the case number, and Detective Hayes told him, and he wrote that on the bag as well. Officer Phelps then searched the truck for any more bullet strikes for about an hour, while David and Detective Hayes watched. He did not find any. It was about 7 p.m. when they finished examining David's truck. Detective Hayes gave David his business card with his phone number on it and told him to call if anything further happened. David drove back to his hotel. In the parking lot of his hotel, he stayed in his truck and Googled 24-hour emergency auto glass and found a company nearby and called them. They asked the make and model of his truck and what window it was, and after he told them, they said they could be there just after 10 p.m. That same evening, David made sure they could take a credit card and told them the address to the hotel and his room number. They said they would call him when they arrived. David was tired of being the victim. He decided he would take the offensive. He went to his hotel room and got his camera bag. Hidden in it was an AirTag GPS tracker. It was sewn in a pocket in the bottom, so he tore the pocket out and retrieved the AirTag. About 9:45 p.m., he went down to his truck and waited for the auto glass company to call. He put the AirTag in the glove compartment of his truck. About 10:15 p.m., he saw an auto glass truck pull in the parking lot of his hotel. He was walking over to it when his phone rang. He answered the phone and said he was right outside of the repairman's truck. The repairman rolled his window down and said, "Hey, I did not see you." David pointed him over to his truck, and the repairman went to work and replaced his window. David paid him and went up to bed. It had been a long, harrowing day. David lay in bed awake for quite a while. Finally, pure exhaustion took over, and he drifted off to sleep. David was in a house he did not recognize. He called out, "Hello? Is anybody here?" He thought he heard a faint voice, so he went towards it. In the back room, there was a door with a large padlock on the outside. He heard voices coming from inside the locked room. They were pleading for help. He was pulling on the padlock, but it was too tough to open with just his hands. He turned around, and Richard was there, flanked by two people dressed in all black with the same skull-printed face masks as the guy he saw shooting at him on the video. Richard was in black also. One of the persons in black leveled a Glock-style pistol on David and said, "You fucked around and found out." He fired the pistol point blank into David's chest. Everything went black and his ears were ringing. David opened his eyes, and he was in bed in his hotel room. He had been having another one of the realistic dreams that had been plaguing him ever since he found the relic in the wall in the house in Briker Woods. It was morning. David lay there for a little while, and then his alarm went off. He told himself to be brave. He had to face this day head on. It was Wednesday morning, and he only had to go to work on Highway 281 for 3 more days, and then the survey would end. He felt fear, but his anger overwhelmed those feelings. He went down to his truck. He went through the whole routine of clearing out any ether by running his air conditioner while he was outside the truck. After 5 minutes, he got in his truck and drove to Conoco to get a pre-made sandwich and some sports drinks. When he went into Conoco, as he passed the bulletin board, something made him stop. He saw 3 missing person flyers on the board. He asked the attendant about the missing young women. The attendant told him that Cindy Lewis went missing about 2 months ago. Tina Spotted Horse went missing 5 weeks ago, and Stephane Malo went missing just last week. He said they put her flyer up 2 days ago. All of them were taken from their cars at night. Cindy was taken from Chickasha. Tina was taken from Mustang, and they found Stephane's car in Moore just last week. David paid for his stuff and thanked the attendant and headed up Highway 281 to the survey site. He pulled into the parking area and parked, pointed his GoPro camera at the canopy area, grabbed the AirTag out of his glove compartment, locked his food and drinks in his truck, and made a loop around the parking area and found Richard's car. He did not see anybody around, so he crammed the AirTag behind the back license plate. He then headed to the canopy for the morning meeting. After the morning meeting, he approached the chief archaeologist and asked him if he knew where Richard lived. The chief archaeologist said, "He drives about an hour to get here. He lives in a town called Norman." He asked why David wanted to know, and David said he was just trying to get a feel for how far some of the ODOT archaeologists had to drive to work because he was thinking of moving to Oklahoma and applying for a job. David was working in a unit on the opposite side of the site from where Richard was, so he hardly saw him during the day. At the end of the day, he was entering his finds into the laptop computer at one of the tables under the canopy. There was not much to enter as the finds on the site had mostly dried up. He saw Richard coming toward the canopy area, but Richard saw David, looked away from him, and avoided him. He was not smiling on this day. David still purged his truck by running the air conditioner for 5 minutes with the doors open while he stood outside and checked the video to see if anyone had come near his truck from the canopy area. The video seemed to be clear as he fast-forwarded through it. He saw Richard pulling out of the parking area with loud death metal music blaring on his car stereo. David hoped that this would prevent Richard from hearing the AirTag if it started chirping. He got in his truck and headed up Highway 281. He was paranoid that he might be followed again, but nothing happened. He stopped at Conoco and got gas and another sandwich. He headed to his hotel and made it unmolested. He went into his room and ate his sandwich and lay in his bed and tried to sleep. He had set an alarm for midnight. He did not really sleep because he was nervous, but he rested. His alarm went off at midnight and he got up and got dressed. He went on his phone and checked for the location of the AirTag he had put in Richard's car. It showed that his car was just outside Slaughterville. David grabbed his GoPro camera, his phone, and keys and went out to his truck. He was still paranoid, so he purged the truck by running the air conditioner with the doors open while he waited outside. When that was done, he got in and drove towards Slaughterville. It took over an hour to get near Slaughterville. The AirTag led him down a rough country road. He was close. The AirTag showed the location to be just off to the right. He found a long private drive with a mailbox out front. He parked on the public road about 100 yards from the mailbox. He got out and went on foot to the mailbox, got out his phone and put the address into his notes. He silently went up to the house and told himself he would turn around if any dogs barked. But he made it up to the house. He saw Richard's car. He could hear the AirTag chirping faintly as he approached, but it went silent as he got close. He went to the back license plate and retrieved the AirTag. It had worked, and Richard did not hear it chirping like it does when away from its owner because he always blasted death metal music when he drove. Next to Richard's car was a black Dodge Challenger and a third car that looked like a Toyota Corolla. He put the license plate numbers of the black Dodge Challenger, the red Toyota, and Richard's Subaru in his notes on his phone and went to the front of the black car. He turned on his light on his phone and saw that the front end had damage on the driver's side bumper. He noticed that the front license plate was now displayed. He quickly took a photo of the front of the black Dodge Challenger showing the plate and the damage, and then he ran. He ran back to the road. He was winded and walked the 100 yards to where he parked his car. His long shot had worked. He was shaking with fear, but he composed himself and drove back down the road with his lights off for a while. When it looked like he was not followed, he turned his lights on and headed back to Anadarko. He got back to his hotel a little after 3 a.m. and was amped up. He could not stay still. He was pacing back and forth in his hotel room and kept telling himself, "They messed with the wrong person." He kept saying that to himself repeatedly. He wanted to call Detective Hayes right away, but he knew Detective Hayes worked the day shift. He considered calling Detective Moody, who worked the second shift, but did the math and decided he would call at 7 a.m. that morning. He could not sleep. There was no way. He checked his phone every 5 minutes to see the time, so the night dragged on. At 6:45 a.m., he decided against calling. He would send a text with the info and the picture of the black Dodge Challenger. He began to type. In the text, he said, "This is David Madur. I have an open case filed with you. I located the car that shot at me and is on the video that I provided. It was at a house near Slaughterville at 309 Duffy Road. The license plate says DFY 4K9. The photo shows the plate number and the front-end damage seen on the video. Also at the location was a red Toyota with plate number WSF 7H6, and a car I believe to be Richard Nergal's Subaru with a plate number of QTR 5J7. David waited until the clock on his phone hit 7 a.m., and then hit send, and sent the text to Detective Hayes. A few minutes later, he got a text back that said, "We will investigate your information. Be advised that you should not return to this location. Thank you."